Welcome to Shorty Supercoach and welcome to the weekend preview. And it's a difficult time of year with these buys. It always proves extremely difficult. Obviously, we have a number of zeros on the field. The key being that we don't have more than 12, I suppose, over the whole squad, because we only need 18 scorers. If you've got more than 18 scoring, that's great. It just takes into account your top 18 scores. So it is very beneficial to have 19 or 20, because if one bloke scores a 40 and a 50, you don't have to get those. So you just get the top one. So the buys represent a great opportunity to move up the rankings, but equally it can destroy you. So what I've found over the last few seasons is I've had probably 2 reasonable weeks and 1 really poor week. And, the reasonable weeks have just been, par, maybe a good one. But the disappointing week has really hurt. Sometimes that has been a bit of bad luck, sometimes a bit of bad management. So at the moment, I'm looking at having 18 this week, and then we'll just assess it week on week. I've got the guys I want to bring in soon, but my hand might be forced to do other things depending on the zero situation. One thing I will say before I look at the teams is, obviously, if we didn't trade through the whole buys, and I say this every year, if you didn't trade through the whole buys, all you guys would get a zero at some point. Clearly they're all having a buy. The key and an important way to get ahead of the game is after this first week. You might not trade this first week, but in the second and third buy rounds, it's crucial to, eliminate some of those possible zeros. So you might only cop 27 zeros instead of the 30. How do you do this? Say the guys are having a buy this week. Obviously, you let this week roll by, and then maybe next week you bring in 5 because he's already had his buy. And maybe you trade out Marty Hoare. That's obviously not a like for like, but just speaking off the cuff, maybe it's Petruccelli goes out and you bring in, I don't know who has the buy. You might bring in Travis Boak, something like that. So what you're doing is, you're bringing in a guy who isn't going to have a buy, and you're taking out a guy who's just about to. So it's a bit of a two-edged sword, and it really can help. And that's really just about playing it smartly. You can't always do it, but sometimes you can really do yourself a favour there. Now, looking at the teams, there's a few bits and pieces. I'm actually bringing in Paddy Nash, just because I need to find someone down back. Lockhart's probably made his coin. He didn't come back to the side, and I'm sitting on 17, so I'm going to bring him in, and hopefully he plays all right tonight. Just looking through the teams, nothing really shot out at me. Matt Crouch returns, which is great. Zach Williams returns. Obviously, Lockie Whitfield is out, so most people will have a plethora of options because he is so dear. You should be able to get most people for him. Shannon Hearn is out, so there will be some backlines who are really struggling. And then, Marty Hoare comes back, which is very crucial. Isaac Quainer looks like he'll play. So, yeah, really interesting. A bit of an injury cloud over Brodie Grundy. I'm not exactly sure where that's at the minute, but I did hear earlier this morning that he was likely, but just had to do a few bits and pieces. So, look, the buys will be tough. There's no doubt about it. I think the main goal for most is to just get through without disaster. You might be, depending where you are on the rankings, you might view it as a great opportunity to really rise up. I'm just sitting inside the top 5,000. My aim would be to finish it somewhere in the 3s, but I would take being in the 4s. If I plateau, I'm happy with that, because previously I've been caught short at times. So it'll be very individual with your teams. Certain buy periods some weeks will hurt more than others, but really look at it positionally. Each line, hopefully you have some coverage, and try and just give yourself a little win if you can. Help yourself if you can by taking that tactic of trading out a rookie who's about to have a buy and bringing in a premium who's already had his. So it's probably the only way you can minimise the damage, because that way you are avoiding 2 buys in one. So hopefully you can do that over the next couple of weeks. As for this week, just deal with Whitfield, deal with any other concerns you have. There's not a stack of players sort of on the bubble, and even if they are, there's not a stack of good scorers, but we'll just have to bide our time. So I hope you have a good week. Hopefully we get through this period all right. I'll be back soon.